There are currently no fights booked for any top 15 UFC lightweight. In this video, I'm going to match make for the entire top 15 and give them all fights. I'm going to start from the 15th ranked fighter and then work my way up to the world champion. So make sure you guys smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. And let's start it off. So for the number 15th ranked fighter, we have Drew Dober. He's number 15. I don't think his next fight should be against somebody ranked. I'm going to give him somebody outside of the rankings. Paddy Pimblett, who's supposed to be fighting Tony Ferguson next Saturday. I expect him to get a win in that fight, unless there's some type of strange hiccup in that Goggins training that Ferguson has been doing, has revolutionized his game, which, trust me, it hasn't. I'm going to say Paddy Pimblett has a real good chance to win and get an opportunity to fight somebody ranked. If I'm the UFC, though, what am I rushing him up to fight Dan Hooker? Am I giving him Benoit Saint-Denis? No, I'm avoiding somebody like Benoit Saint-Denis like the plague if I'm the UFC involving Paddy Pimblett. Instead, I'm giving him Drew Dober, who has a legit chance to knock his face off. But in all actuality, there's a path to victory for Paddy. He has a jiu-jitsu advantage there. If I'm the UFC and Paddy's getting past Tony Ferguson, for me, I'm looking at Drew Dober as a potential fight because of the entertainment value. Drew Dober has a little cult fan base, and I think everybody would be hyped to see how Paddy does against somebody that punches really hard. So I would say Drew Dober and Paddy Pimblett would actually become like a highly anticipated fight. I see it on a main card of a pay-per-view. I think you could even do it in England. Bring out Drew Dober representing the USA versus England's own Paddy Pimblett. I'm already sold on this fight. Assuming Paddy gets the W, Drew Dober and Paddy Pimblett 2024. That is the ranked opponent to start off this video. Dober fighting Paddy the Baddy. Let's keep jumping up. Number 14th ranked, Bobby Green. He's coming off of a vicious knockout loss in the first round to short notice replacement Jaylen Turner. I'm also saying he should fight somebody not ranked. I'm going to give him Matt Frevola. I know Frevola was in the rankings and then got booted after Saint-Denis knocked him out in a minute. But I still think him and Bobby Green is a dope fight. I still think Matt Frevola is a pretty good fighter. And I want to see this stylistic clash. Hands low, slick Bobby Green. Matt Frevola's got power. He can wrestle a bit. I think him and Bobby Green makes a lot of sense. Both guys coming off of vicious knockout losses, and their return timetable, I feel like, will be somewhat similar. I could see it in April. Bobby Green, Matt Frevola. Even on the prelims of UFC 300, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. Now, I know Jared Gordon, who's probably watching this video right now, will be pissed because I didn't put him in that, back end of the top 15. He called for a ranked opponent after knocking out Mark Madsen. I thought about doing Jared Gordon versus Bobby Green, but I feel like the Frevola fight is just more dope. That's what I want to see right now. No diss to Jared Gordon. You got a savage win last time out, but I have to give it to my guy, Matt Frevola. Give him another chance to break back into the rankings and give Bobby Green a fun opponent after a vicious knockout loss where he could have been killed because the referee allowed so much damage to continue after Bobby was already knocked out. We had a good 11, 12 seconds of ferocious ground and pound to the lifeless body of Bobby Green. I didn't know if he was going to wake up after a beating like that. So the referee, Kerry Hatley, on that one, to be honest, he should be forced to fight Bobby Green next to pay for the potential long-term career damage. There's a real chance that Matt Frevola one-punch KOs Bobby Green and the chin is gone after a loss like he had last time. That is the number 14th ranked Bobby Green and who he should fight next. Number 13, Renato Moicano, who's pulling a McGregor and calling everybody out. You know who was really bothered by that? Jaylen Turner. Last weekend's UFC co-main event winner, the guy who knocked out Bobby Green. I think they should fight each other about it. Number 13 ranked Moicano, number 10 ranked Jaylen Turner. Even though Turner had a sick knockout of Bobby Green on short notice, He did lose to Mateuz Gamrot earlier in the year, and he lost to Dan Hooker. I don't see him fighting ahead. Instead, I think he has to fight backwards, number 10 versus number 13. I like the fight. I want to see how Moicano does against Jaylen because the length is real. I think Jaylen Turner would have a chance to knock him out on the feet, but big elephant in the room. Renato Moicano is significantly better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than Jaylen Turner is. If it goes to the ground, Moicano by sub is super live, and I think he should get that chance. And Moicano's crazy enough to call out everybody. I don't think too many guys are calling the name of Jaylen Turner, but he already did. So let's book that fight. Moicano, Jaylen Turner, hell yes. I need to see it. Number 10 Turner, number 13 Moicano. Why not? Why wouldn't we do this fight? This is a main card fight on a pay-per-view. It's honestly main event potential for a free TV fight night. I mean, you could throw it in the co-main if there's somebody higher up in the ranks, but nobody's complaining about 5 rounds between Jaylen Turner and Renato Moicano. So put me in on that matchup for sure. Now, when we pull to the next one, we have number 12 ranked Benoit Saint-Denis, who is coming off of a career moment, knocking out Matt Frivola with a high kick in a minute. Where does he go from here? Well, the UFC is a cold-hearted business, and unfortunately for Beneil Dariush, I'm going to throw him Benoit Saint-Denis. And I know people will say, what? Beneil was just a top contender. Now he's getting sent all the way back to Benoit Saint-Denis. I feel as though the willingness to take on all comers will be the ultimate demise of Beneil Dariush, because I could see him accepting a fight against Benoit Saint-Denis. Now, I don't know the likelihood of this matchup because of the timetables of either one of them returning. Benoit Saint-Denis probably wanting to fight soon. The side of Beneil Dariush maybe needing some time off. So we may very well not see this fight. But if you ask me right now, what do I want to see? I want to see Saint-Denis have a big chance against the number 7 ranked guy in the world, Beneil Dariush. Let's find out how good he is, and let's find out fast. I'm giving Benoit Saint-Denis the fast track. Now, if this matchup isn't available, I could see the UFC going the route of Benoit Saint-Denis, even versus the likes of Mateuz Gamrot or Jaylen Turner. But I have other matchups for those guys that I felt this one kind of slips into play nicely. So I'm interested in Benoit Saint-Denis and Beneil Dariush. It's a bit of a passing of the torch fight. Like, I know Arman Tsarukyan just destroyed Beneil Dariush, and Saint-Denis would be expected to do something similar now. But it's no guarantee. Beneil Dariush still has a win over Mateuz Gamrot. Like, it seems like I'm throwing Beneil Dariush to the freaking lions as a sacrificial lamb. But in actuality, he can fight. And look what he did to Mateuz Gamrot, who's a good pressure wrestler. Yeah, I like this fight a ton. I'm making this one. And this one might be uncommon. So let me know in the comments what you think of that fight especially. Now, number 11 ranked, Rafael Dos Anjos. I'm picking him to stay at welterweight. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the right opponent for him. I actually would say I'll put this as an alternate. Number 11 RDA may end up fighting Beneil Dariush if they're looking to do like a veteran versus veteran type of fight, as opposed to throwing Beneil Dariush to the new blood and Benoit Saint-Denis. But then in actuality, I got to flip everything upside down and around. We might have to do Jailin Turner versus Benoit Saint-Denis, which isn't out of the question. But then it just puts Renato Moicano in the spot of maybe fighting Drew Dober, which eliminates my fight with Paddy Pimblett. And then we're doing Paddy Pimblett, Bobby Green, maybe? Things can get flip-flopped, but I'm sticking with this one. I'm going RDA to stay at welterweight. Let's keep on running up. Number 8 ranked Fiziev. Who should he face next? Dustin Poirier. People will say, what? But Poirier's ranked number 3. Yeah, but he's not going to fight number 4, Arman Tsarukyan. He's not going to fight number 6, Gamrot. I'll tell you something about Poirier. He says he wants super fights. No, he just doesn't want to fight pressure grappling styles right now. And I don't really blame him because he can capitalize on his entertaining style in kind of like a BMF contender fight with the side of Fiziev next. That's the matchup that I'm going to pick. And I'm hearing word on the street is maybe this is the fight that they're actually booking. And now I know people are going to wonder, wait, but what happens to Dan Hooker? Who does he fight? He's left out of it. I want him on standby as a potential replacement opponent if somebody gets injured for the fight between Fiziev and Poirier. I'm down as hell for a Hooker versus Poirier rematch, and I'm very intrigued by Fiziev versus Hooker too. So I'm putting him right on standby because he got a big win over Jailin Turner. That's not something to just look right over. Jaylen Turner is a hard guy to beat, and the fact that he was able to do it, he's at the upper echelon. I think he gets a short notice standby fight or potentially fighting the loser of Poirier-Fiziev. Now, let's keep on running up a little bit more. We got the number 5 ranked Michael Chandler. I'm going to throw him right out there. You guys know who he's fighting. He's taking on Conor McGregor next. I'm not screwing Michael Chandler. I know the rumors are kind of out that they're teasing an Oliveira fight, but I don't think the UFC is actually going to go that way. I expect there to be some complaints, right? And people want to see Oliveira fight the best in the world, and that's Islam Makhachev. And Michael Chandler went through hell on tough. He's pausing his career waiting for a McGregor fight. Can we just give the guy the red panty night? It's a winnable fight for Conor McGregor too, because Michael Chandler is very hittable. And he's been knocked down and knocked out before. And why not give Conor McGregor a test a little bit farther back up in the ranks instead of, we're going to throw him right to Oliveira, the number 1 contender. Sure, could he pull off a one-punch knockout of Oliveira? He could knock out anybody. Anybody could knock out anybody. But I think I want to see him earn that top caliber spot. And the Michael Chandler fight was already teased and it was supposed to happen. So let's make it happen, UFC. Let's do Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. Let's keep running up. Let's keep moving. Number 4 ranked Arman Tsarukyan. Who's he to fight? Well, I skipped Mateuz Gamrot to save it for this one. I think Arman Tsarukyan and Gamrot should rematch. And I know that this is not going to be a super exciting and highly anticipated rematch in some sense, right? But let's look at it like this. Yeah, Arman Tsarukyan's coming off of a career-breaking win, knocking out Beneil Dariush. But that's his only win against ranked opposition. The fight before that, he had difficulty with Joaquim Silva. Mateuz Gamrot has a controversial decision win over Tsarukyan. Why not force them to face off again? And let's see if Gamrot can do it a second time in the first fight. The bout wasn't a fluke and wasn't a lucky performance. Or does Arman Tsarukyan go out there and knock Gamrot out and jump his stock tenfold and end up challenging for the world title? This is the fight that I like. Both guys surging in the lightweight division with wins right now. And I think we have to see them clash. And you could say, oh, wait, but Gamrot lost to Beneil Dariush. Arman Tsarukyan beat him. Yeah, but what if Beneil said, oh, no, I beat Gamrot. Tsarukyan lost to him. So let's book that rematch. Let's keep on running. Let's get a little closer to the top. So now we have arrived at the number 2 fighter in the division, Justin Gaethje, the BMF champion. I'm going to use the BMF belt to my advantage. I'm going to do Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. I'm not going to throw Gaethje in there against Arman. I know that Arman could be considered a BMF after that sick knockout of Beneil Dariush. But like I said, he's only got 1 ranked win. I don't think we run back the Poirier trilogy right now. It's a brutal high kick knockout that Gaethje had. And it should be somebody different. And a super fight against Max Holloway, who outside of Alexander Volkanovski has swept the whole division. He's cleared it out. He has wins over almost every contender. Why not jump up a weight class and give him a BMF title fight? Now, of course, I'm hearing the potential Aljamain Sterling fight, which that could throw a, monkey wrench in my plans here, which I wouldn't cry about. That would put Gaethje in an interesting spot. I don't know who they'd give Gaethje. I don't know if that would be then the UFC's plan of, okay, we're giving Conor the BMF fight, even though he's coming off back-to-back losses against the guy that Gaethje just annihilated with a high kick. So I would rather see the BMF fight between 2 BMFs that I think deserve it right now. Max Holloway, jump up a weight class. The belt's weight class doesn't matter for the BMF title. I don't think Holloway has a good chance of winning, to be honest, but I think you could give a tough fight to Gaethje. And then if Gaethje wins that, defends the BMF title, then fights for the lineal championship, the real belt, I'm going to pick Gaethje versus Holloway because I want to see the super fight. And I'm curious to see if the UFC's thinking what I'm thinking. Let's use that BMF belt to put in a main event or even a co-main event on a massive card to add some steam to it instead of crushing the BMF title by giving the chance for the real belt to Justin Gaethje next and him losing to Islam Makhachev. Let's at least get 1 BMF defense to continue to build the hype of that belt. I'd rather it be a separate thing for now. And then if Gaethje wins that one, it works out. We give him the title shot. Now, if you're jumping to the top, now you know the matchup. Makhachev Oliveira rematch. I have to see it. It was already booked. Oliveira sustained a bad cut that pulled him out of the fight. Badass step in for Alexander Volkanovski on 10 days notice. He gets brutally knocked out with a high kick, and we know the story. Charles Oliveira is coming off of a knockout win over Beneil Dariush that I don't want to be overshadowed by how good Arman Tsarukyan looked against Beneil. Yes, he knocked him out more impressively than Charles, but Charles did it first. He might be the one that cracked that chin, that made that straight shot by Tsarukyan put the lights out of Beneil. And I think Oliveira versus Makhachev is still a competitive and compelling matchup. And I want to see it next. I know this is rematch city for Islam Makhachev, but Charles Oliveira right now is the scariest guy in the division. He beat Justin Gaethje. He beat Dustin Poirier. He beat number 2 and number 3 already. So now I'm going to force him to fight number 4, Arman Tsarukyan, when Oliveira already defeated the guy that Tsarukyan won against by highlight reel knockout, being Beneil Dariush, who already got the highlight reel KO'd by Oliveira. And this fight was already supposed to happen, so let's rebook it. Let's do it. And I want to do it in Brazil. I want to bring the fight to Brazil and have Makhachev go against that Brazilian crowd. I'd be so interested in that. Now, I think Makhachev has a good chance to hold the throne and win it once again, defending it against a game savage in Charles Oliveira. But who doesn't want to see the rematch? When it was initially booked, people were hype as hell for it, and there's a lot of backers of Charles Oliveira in that fight. Me personally, I think Makhachev, and still, I think Makhachev is taking everybody in the weight class. Arman Tsarukyan's interesting, right? Because he's surging right now, and he gave Makhachev a hellish first fight. But I can see it going similarly, and Makhachev winning on the scorecards. That is the top 15. That is the matchmaking that I'm going with. I'm curious if you guys agree. So definitely in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think, AJ, you are a future UFC matchmaker? They should call you for the job. You're like, bro, you don't know what you're doing. I think your calls are crazy. Maybe you're on Gaethje versus Islam Makhachev. Maybe you think Oliveira should fight Arman Tsarukyan. Or even Dustin Poirier versus Arman. I know people have been saying that'd be an interesting fight. I know people want to see it. I know Guru said that should be next. But I'll tell you, the ATT team being connected with Poirier and Arman Tsarukyan. And I'm telling you, I think it's the fact that Poirier knows that's a really bad stylistic matchup. And there's not a lot of gain with a win. You're beating a guy on the come up with a win, but you're losing to a guy on the come up and your place at the top is gone. And I think Poirier wants a more winnable fight, and that's Fiziev. Let me know, guys. I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed this creative type video. Drop a W in the comments if you enjoyed it too. Smash the likes. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure to subscribe because I got daily content dropping that you don't want to miss. Much love to everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.